Hola, mijos. It's story time. I got another one for you. This is called the Desert Spring. Yeah, looks like there's water coming out of a rock right there. Let's see what's about. Relax. Be very still and listen. Listen carefully to this tale about a poor family who were traveling to a rich cousin's wedding in a beautiful temple far away. Do you want to know what happened on that journey? Let's see if we can find out. The family had made good progress so far, passing through many towns and villages in their little cart. But suddenly they arrived at the edge of a vast and ferociously hot desert. Worried, they asked the local people for advice on how to cross it. Everyone said the same thing. Do not go anywhere near it in the daytime, but instead to cross it at night, when the hot sun was resting harmlessly in bed. But how would we know where to go in the dark? Asked the father of the family. Navigate by the stars, replied the locals. That's all very well, he thought, but I don't know much about the stars. We need to find somebody who does to guide us. So he asked around and soon found a young man who was said to be one of the best navigators in the region. That night, after darkness had fallen over the land and the sands had become cooler, the family set out on their journey. The navigator took over the reins of the bullock and sat tall and proud in the cart. Gazing up into the clear night sky, he read the stars and directed them eastward. However, he had enjoyed a very large dinner, not to mention a huge cup of hot chocolate before setting out, and these were making him feel very drowsy. Before long, the gentle rocking of the cart had soothed him into a deep slumber, without any of the passengers, who were also asleep, realizing what had happened. Of course, the bullock leading the cart couldn't read the stars, so with the navigator sleeping, it wandered aimlessly, in completely the wrong direction. When the father awoke with the first light, he realized that they were well and truly lost. "Where are we?" exclaimed his wife when she awoke. "Surely we should have nearly crossed the desert by now. We're going to be late for the wedding." When they saw that the navigator was sound asleep, they were very angry with him, but their anger soon turned to fear. "A whole day in the desert," the children wailed. "We'll run out of water. What are we going to do?" they cried. The father took charge and tried to calm them down. "Don't worry," he said. "We'll find a way out of this." Pacing back and forth, he thought and thought. Then he sat down on the sands and gazed into the distance. There must be something he could do. Suddenly, he noticed a tiny green plant growing in the sand beside a rock. Ah, something does grow here in these hot, dry sands after all. And where there are plants, there must be at least a little water, he concluded. He called the young, fit navigator over and showed him the plant. "I want you to dig here, as I think there must be water nearby," he instructed. The navigator looked at him doubtfully, but as he had gotten them into this trouble, he was in no position to argue, so he got a spade from the cart and started digging. He dug and he dug. Hour after hour, the hole became deeper and deeper, but still there was no water. The navigator was now very hot and thirsty. Suddenly, he hit something. "We've hit a rock," he cried. "All I found is an enormous dry boulder. What a waste of time." The rest of the family looked very disheartened, but the father in the family was not a man to give up easily, so he urged them not to lose hope. "Don't give up now. Don't give up now. We can't. If we give up now, we will all be lost. While we still have energy and before it gets any hotter, we must keep trying. Think how our cousin will feel if we don't turn up for her wedding." Silence fell over everybody. They all felt so tired and thirsty that they didn't even have the energy to protest. The head of the family sat on the rock and looked around. Then, in the silence, he heard, or at least thought he heard, the faint sound of running water. Am I hearing things? He wondered. Listen carefully. I'm sure I can hear water. Can you hear it too? He asked. What? Has the heat gone to your head and made you crazy? Snapped his wife. No, listen, I'm sure. I can hear water, he said excitedly. And it seems to be coming from the rock. Strike the rock, he commanded. The navigator got a mallet and began to hit the rock. At first nothing happened, but then all of a sudden the rock split open, and to everyone's surprise and relief, water started to bubble up out of it in a refreshing fountain. A great cheer went up as they all rushed forward to drink some cool, fresh water. The family danced for joy, hugging each other and laughing. Now they had plenty of water. They gave the bullock water to drink and filled up all their containers for the rest of the journey. Revived and refreshed, the party set off once more after the sun had set. As the moon climbed high into the starlit sky, the navigator guided them safely across the desert, and they finally arrived at the temple after dawn, still in time for their cousin's wedding. A few hours later, dressed in their finest clothes, they were tucking into a delicious banquet in honor of their beautiful cousin and her new husband. Watching his family enjoy themselves, the father smiled fondly to himself as he silently toasted them with his glass of crystal clear water. How glad he was that he hadn't given up on them all in the desert. Today's moral: life presents all sorts of difficulties and often puts obstacles in our path. On these occasions, it is all too easy to give up. A wise person knows that if they keep trying, they will eventually succeed. I think that was pretty cool. I'm glad he heard that there was water in that rock. Well, probably under the rock. Maybe, you think? I think so. I love you, boys. And I will talk to you later. Love you. Night.